Hey you guys, today we're going to be breaking down both the Agile clause and twin Yo Yos form changes. These form changes are associated with strike form and are triggered by using the Happy Gear Keyblade. I'll be breaking down Agile clause first. The Agile clause transformation starts with Sora spinning as the Keyblade hangs in the air behind him. It wobbles around and the hat bounces on top as the Keyblade grows bigger and the eye on the top turns on. The pipes snaking up the Keyblade snap off and the top of the Keyblade starts to spin. The blade of the Keyblade becomes unhinged and blue energy arcs over to it from the top of the Keyblade. The top spins as the camera zooms out, showing that the door in the Keyblade has been unlatched from the handle. The blade reconnects as the whole top of the Keyblade shrinks down into the door. Sora brings the Keyblade behind himself as the door spins and the sides of the canisters spout out smoke. Sora then pushes the Keyblade forward and a bright light flashes on the screen. Two claws appear out of that light and they spin around as these pyramid-looking things appear on the outside of the claws. Blue energy connects them with the claws, and we see the blade of the Keyblade making up the end of the claws. We can also see the hat that was on top of the Keyblade is in both of the claws. The pyramids sink into their place on the claws as they close around Sora's arms. If the camera does not go into a cinematic view, you can see the pyramids sink down to create this part on the claws. Claws are in sections along Sora's arms and shift apart before they condense and connect, completing the transformation. When they condense, sparks fly out and steam comes out of the claws. One more thing to note is that these parts here on the helmet are these parts here on the Keyblade. The logo shows the words Agile clause and the A in Agile similar to the logo on the helmet. A white glimmer goes across the words occasionally. The background of the logo shows the top of the Keyblade, but instead of a claw on the side of this making up the blade of the Keyblade, pipes are connected to it. The gears in the logo spin occasionally. The claws in the logo snap once, then twice quickly before they turn a bit, move in, and snap again. The gears actually spin at the same time that the claws start to move. The combo for Agile claws is the same regardless of if you are on the ground or in the air. The combo starts with Sora holding both claws upwards and slashing downwards diagonally in an X pattern, crossing his arms before raising them and uncrossing them with horizontal slashes. Each attack shows Sora making the claws grow larger. White sparkles are also the effects seen during this form changes combos. Sora then raises a claw before he starts to spin around, holding his arms outstretched as he scratches at enemies with both claws. A blue burst of air is spawned during the spinning attack. The claws actually start to come apart during this attack. The next attack has Sora doing a backflip as he dashes forward, dragging his claw against the ground. At the end of the dash, Sora drags the claw upwards as he brings his other claw right up behind it. Sora uses the second strike's momentum to do a flipping scratch attack. This is also the attack Sora uses if he is far away from an enemy. Sora's next attack has him bringing his left claw downwards in a diagonal slash before slashing horizontally with his right claw. He then slashes upward with his left claw before using his right claw to do a spinning diagonal strike. The combo finisher has Sora making the claws grow bigger piece by piece before he brings them back and then pushes them forward as they spin, creating blue, green, and white air effects as well as sparks. There's another attack Sora will do if he is above or below an enemy. Sora will scratch upwards or downwards with diagonal strikes before flipping. The direction of the scratches as well as the flip change depending on if Sora is above the enemy or below them. This is one of the few form changes that actually has flow motion that is changed. The first one that is changed is when you dash while in Agile clause. Sora dashes forward but holds his right arm out in front of him with his claw open, which is glowing yellow. Both claws have grown larger during this dash attack. If you attack while sliding or right after triggering flow motion by dashing into a wall, Sora will do a quick spin before thrusting both claws in front of himself and spinning forward. A wind effect is created behind Sora and different shades of blue spin out from around the claws. Magic while in this form change is changed to an AoE style of magic. If you've seen my Hyper Hammer and Drill Punch breakdown, this magic may look really familiar. It's the exact same magic that the Hyper Hammer uses, and as such, the breakdown for this magic will sound very similar. The higher the tier of magic, the larger the reach the AoE magic will have. Fire pushes out a shockwave of fire around Sora, and a number of fireballs will circle around Sora depending on the tier cast. The first tier will have 2 fireballs circle around Sora, the second tier will have 4, the third will have 6, and the fourth tier, Firaza, will have 8. Fire casts and above will burn the ground, but the normal fire will leave the floor unaffected. Also, energy arcs up from the ground during the Firaza cast. Water magic starts with the first tier spawning 2 streams of water around Sora. Every cast of magic makes water ripple out over the ground. The second tier has Sora making a dome of water that pushes outwards. There are still 2 streams of water though during this cast like the first tier. The third tier has Sora generating a bigger dome of water and spawning 4 streams of water around himself. The fourth tier has Sora creating a whirlpool around himself as 4 streams of water circle around him. Blizzard starts with Sora creating a barrier of ice around himself as 2 casts of ice circle around him. Ice also coats the ground during this attack. The second and third tiers of this attack are pretty much the same, except that the higher the cast of Blizzard, the larger the barrier of ice is, the larger the casts of Blizzard are, and the larger the reach the ice coating the ground has. The grand magic of Blizzard is pretty much the same, with everything being bigger and having a larger reach, but 6 casts of Blizzard circle around Sora instead of 2. The first tier of Thunder has Sora creating a spark that circles around him, as well as a ball of energy that spawns at the center of his body and shoots out lightning. There is also a golden ring that spawns on the floor beneath Sora. The spark and golden circle have a larger area of effect the higher the tier cast. During the second tier, a dark orb surrounds Sora and shoots out bolts of energy. On the third tier, you still spawn the dark orb, which you can see here, but energy also arcs down from around Sora. Lightning covers the ground during this cast as well. Thundaza calls down lightning that circles around Sora as a ring closes in around him. When the ring reaches Sora, a giant beam of lightning comes down, and lightning spreads out across the floor as pieces of the ground fly out. Arrow casts have air surrounding Sora as 2 condensed casts of air circle around him. The second tier increases the range of the air and adds 2 more casts that circle around Sora. Small pieces of rock are pulled up into the air for the second tier upwards. The third tier again increases the range and adds 2 more casts to circle Sora. The fourth tier creates a whirlwind around Sora as multiple casts of arrow fly around him. Agile Claws has some movement tech that has changed. Sora's dodge roll has changed to a spinning diagonal slash that both dodges and damages at the same time. At the end of the slash, Sora lands on his shoulder and rolls back up. The air dodge is similar, but Sora does a horizontal slash around himself rather than a diagonal one. If you try to block in this form change, Sora will dash backwards and end the dash with a spinning slash. This happens when you try to guard in both the air and on the ground. When Sora is in Agile Claws, his claws will snap open and closed. His idle animation has him looking to his right and then his left before lifting his right claw above his head. He then pushes his claws outwards as steam comes out of the claws. And that is all I have for Agile Claws. Let's move on to Twin Yo Yos. The Twin Yo Yos transformation starts with Sora's claws spinning and creating a blue air effect around them. The claws burst off of Sora's arms with a bright flash of light. The yo-yos start to form with the Monsters Inc. logo appearing and fitting into the holes of the yo-yos. After the logos slot in, the blue pieces split open to reveal the yo-yo blades. Metallic pieces appear above the blades and fit into the gaps of the blue cogs. The camera changes and the yo-yos spin towards Sora as they begin to shrink down to their normal size. They then bounce off each other and Sora uses blue lines of energy to latch onto them, spinning them down and pulling them back up to catch them. The logo shows the words Twin Yo-Yos with the T having the same design as the Monsters Inc. logo. A white glimmer will go across the words occasionally. The yo-yos on the sides of the words spin, and after the white glimmer will glow blue. You can also see the cogs spin occasionally as well. During the finisher, the yo-yos spin out horizontally and flash before disappearing and restarting the animation. Just like Agile Claws, the combo does not change regardless of if you are on the ground or in the air. The combo starts with Sora throwing the yo-yo in his right hand forward, slashing vertically, and sweeping the yo-yo in his left hand out horizontally. The teeth of the yo-yos come out during this attack and following attacks. The second attack has Sora crossing his arms and spreading his arms out, slashing horizontally with both yo-yos. The next attack has Sora doing multiple slices upwards with his yo-yos. On the last slice upwards, Sora throws the yo-yo up underneath his leg. The next attack is a spinning attack where Sora spins the yo-yos around himself multiple times. The last 2 attacks are combo finishers. The first combo finisher has Sora turning backwards as he throws the yo-yos out behind himself. He then flips backwards twice while spinning the yo-yos in loops. The other combo finisher has Sora making the yo-yos grow much bigger and throwing them forwards. If you are on the ground, you will slash the ground and kick up rocks. If there is an enemy above or below Sora, he will do a spinning attack with both yo-yos spinning horizontally. He is angled slightly during these attacks. It is similar to this attack in the combo, but the yo-yos in this aerial attack are smaller. If an enemy is far away from Sora, he will throw his yo-yo forward to hook onto the enemy. If you hook onto them, Sora will pull himself towards the enemy quickly and kick upwards as he flips backwards. This attack shows that the yo-yo's teeth are usually gray. The yo-yos change colors depending on what attack you are doing. Also, a little glitch can happen with this animation where the yo-yo will move to latch onto the enemy, but the glowing effect on the teeth will stay behind. The magic for Twin Yo-Yos is the same as the magic cast while in the double air gun's Formchange. Each tier will shoot out more casts per yo-yo. So the tier 1 magic will shoot out 1 cast of magic per yo-yo, the second tier will shoot out 2, the third tier will shoot out 3, and the fourth tier, Zom magic, will shoot out 4. Movement tech is not really changed well in this form change, but if you try to dodge, Sora will dash backwards and do a quicker spin. While in twin yo-yos, Sora will play with the yo-yos if you are not attacking, throwing them down and pulling them back up. The idle animation has Sora throwing down his yo-yos twice before flipping the yo-yos in a full circle twice. The max shot lock for this Keyblade has Sora transforming into twin yo-yos and spinning them around himself. He then throws them into portals of light. Portals appear around the enemies you locked onto, shooting out multiple versions of Sora's yo-yos at them. The color of the spikes is purple here instead of the blue spikes seen during the combo. The finisher has Sora crossing his arms like this attack in the combo, before spreading his arms out slashing horizontally with both yo-yos, except for the finisher, Sora has transformed the yo-yos. There are teeth on the insides of the yo-yos, and the teeth of the yo-yos are gray instead of the normal blue. There's also a hat on the top yo-yo with 2 eyes on it. You can catch an enemy between the yo-yos, which will damage them when they chomp together. The teeth glow blue during this attack and spin around, making air swirl around the yo-yos, damaging enemies around them. At the end of the attack, the blue teeth spread outwards before the yo-yos clamp together. They separate and clamp together a couple more times before the yo-yos separate and shrink back to their normal size. The eyes here are similar to the eyes on Boo's costume from the movie. And that is all I have for the breakdown. Now I want to talk about my thoughts on these form changes. If you guys have watched my streams at all or my podcast discussing Kingdom Hearts 3, you know that twin yo-yos is one of my favorite form changes. Agile Claws is also really fun to use, as I really enjoy the quick attacks. The flow motion is really cool, and I'm glad they added some flow motion attacks to these form changes. I love the sliding attacks for both form changes as well, as they can get you in close to an enemy really fast. The magic for Agile Claws is not my favorite, but twin yo-yos has really good magic, so it makes up for it. I think what I like about the combat for twin yo-yos is that Sora styles on the enemy while attacking. The weapons are also pretty unique. All of the other transformations are actual weapons, but for this form change, they decided to use a toy. I think the contrast is interesting and is maybe why I like it so much. The finisher is also one I actually like to use since it covers a wide range and does pretty decent damage. It also doesn't feel like a long drawn out attack like some of the other finishers for form changes, so it's not like breaking my flow of combat. Anyways, that is all I have for today. If you enjoyed, why not consider subscribing or sharing this with someone you think will like it. If you want to see my breakdown on Mirage Staff or on second form, click the cards on screen. I also have a Discord server as well as a Twitter, which you can get to by following the links in the description below. See you in the next video.